I'm not going to pronounce that correctly. I'm Kurt and Kurt are the same thing to me. I don't.
You just said the same name twice.
See.
Welcome to Every Album Ever with Mike and Alex. My name is Michael Mansour. I'm joined, as always, by my in a great mood and full of life co-host Alexander Volt. Say hello.
For once, it's good to be back.
This is Every Album Ever, the podcast where we listen to every single album in the world, one artist at a time, except for these EAE singles episodes where we cover one album at a time, specifically a newer, more relevant one that just came out. And today, what are we talking about?
We got a big one today. We're talking about the new album by Metallica, 72 Seasons.
Oh boy, big one, big boy, Metallica. Everybody in the world knows Metallica. They're the most famous metal band in existence. And we have a long storied history with this band. I'm sure it goes back way back for you.
Yeah, you probably beat me because you're a crazy person who's listening to heavy music since you were like a toddler.
Yes, this was my first favorite band. Metallica was my first favorite band. I've been listening to Metallica longer than I've been able to read.
Dang.
So before starting school, I was listening to Metallica.
Yeah.
So
I think they were all... That's not. I think Queen was my favorite band, but like Metallica was my favorite. Like
cool band. Oh, not that Queen's not cool, but Metallica was a lot cooler than Queen when you were a kid.
Also, I like kind of fell out of favor with Queen, but like, yeah, still like love Metallica. So
no matter how famous they get and how was it Urban Outfitters they get with time, I'll never stop loving them. Truly one of the greatest bands in existence.
Yeah, 5 damn near flawless albums.
Pretty much. And then the rest. 5 near flawless albums. And here at 72 Seasons, we have the rest.
Isn't it crazy that at this point, Robert Trujillo has been in the band longer than Jason Newsted?
You said, oh shit.
Which sounds fucking weird to say.
Yeah, it's super weird. And we briefly talked about this in the past, but like he always feels like the new guy. But no, I think they could have chosen no one better to join them than Robert Trujillo.
Oh, he's great. He's amazing.
He's an amazing bass player, but he also like is the same kind of I don't know, hardcore drunk.
Is he?
Not really, but like I think one of the I heard somewhere that one of the what do they call it? The one of the hazing things that he went through was to stay up all night drinking with Lars and then wake up like super early the next day or something like that to see if he could hang.
They were old men when they did that.
Yeah, they were. And James was already sober or getting sober or something around there.
And then there were some relapses, but
yeah. But yeah, so they've been, this is this batch of Metallica albums, starting with Death Magnetic. We don't count Saint Anger. No one counts Saint Anger, whatever.
Also, you didn't play on it.
What? Oh, he didn't play. Yeah, he didn't play on it, but also like that's partly why I even said that. Like he also didn't play on it, but it's just this weird kind of thing where they tried a thing and it fucking didn't work and it stunk. And then they went back to thrash.
Mm-hmm.
This is, in my opinion, a pretty basic average thrash album.
I don't like it.
You don't? I had a feeling you wouldn't like it. I have a fondness for, I love thrash in general, even like the really bad thrash or like kind of generic and, not too interesting thrash. I have a fondness for that too. Mm-hmm. This has a lot of great moments, but a whole lot of just average as fuck riffs. It's chock full of average. It bummed me out a little bit.
I think Metallica has some big misses in their discography. Saint Anger and Lulu are albums to be talked about.
I forget about Lulu all the time.
Never forget because I thought it was the funniest thing ever.
It is the funniest thing ever.
I listened to the whole thing in one sitting and I didn't even realize it was like two disc.
Yeah. Oh man, that's something. Oh my God.
So anyways, those are like as low as you can get.
Yeah.
And then like Death Magnetic and Hardwire to Self-Destruct or self-destruct are what they are. I've kind of softened on them as the years have gone by. But despite all that, I don't think Metallica has ever sounded bored, even when it's bad.
Oh, interesting.
Even when it's bad, they don't sound bored. This is the first Metallica album where I'm like, these guys are phoning it in.
It sounds, a lot of it does sound phoned in. A lot of it, there's a lot of really cool moments and riffs. I'm like, oh, they've never done a riff like that before. That's very cool. It sounds like they're trying something. I can't compare it to anything else in the discography. And then other stuff, it's like, oh, okay, just generic pentatonic bullshit. And it goes on for fucking ever.
It's like, is it as bad as Saint Anger and
Fuck
Lulu?
no.
No, fuck no. Is it bad compared to the rest of music? Yes.
Well, it's bad compared to the rest of Metallica. And I wouldn't even say it's that bad because there was like a handful of songs that I genuinely like.
Mhm.
One song that I think is like legitimately great, and it's one song on a 77-minute album. And oddly enough, I might as well just throw it out.
Yeah.
The Closer, which is real, dude. It is, first of all, their longest song in their entire career. It's 11 minutes.
I didn't even know that.
I double checked. If I'm not mistaken, not a single song actually cracked 10 minutes. On Death Magnetic, one song was like 9:58 or something,
Okay.
or not, maybe it hits 10 seconds depending on what player you're listening to it from. But they full on went to 11 here, literally 11. And I actually think it's a great song, the best song on the album by far, with the most interesting moments, best riffs, fucking absolutely, probably I would say my favorite. I would even go as far as say their best guitar harmony section since Death Magnetic. Or even like before that, maybe even since fucking Black Album.
Yeah, you were talking about like how there's some riffs they haven't done before, and then we talked about the Sword a while back, recent for us, but probably a long time for listeners. And yeah, that's like one of the few Metallica songs where I'm like, oh, you can hear like the Thin Lizzy or like even the Sword.
Even the Sword.
Yeah.
So, I have a lot of problems with this album, as I'm sure you do too.
I kind of felt like that one, there was too many riffs that reminded me of like Load era.
That's the thing. While those albums are not that great, they're not like awful albums.
No, they aren't.
They're just like kind of decent rock albums. They're not like Metallica good.
Yeah.
But they're fine. I think they're fine. I mean, I haven't heard them since I was a kid, so maybe they fucking stink and I forgot. But as far as I remember, it's like, oh, that's like, all right, it's for what it is. That's not bad. It's not like it's poorly written.
I revisited them a couple years ago because I was like, are these that bad? And then I was like, they're okay.
Okay, there's at least moments.
Yes.
For sure, there's moments. The name of the song is I can't even read it because my fucking font is too. I highlighted it with a color that I can't read past. Inamorata, which on that song there's a lot of things on this album that are harkening back to their old stuff, like that are like clearly a little bit derivative. Inamorata, he's repeatedly using the word misery in a kind of friendly context, harkening back to My Friend of Misery.
That's another reason
There's a lot of the phrase "wake me" on "Sleepwalk My Life Away." There's a lot of repeated phrases. Like it's not. I don't think it's intentional. It's just like
more like sleepwalk this album away. Am I right?
At least sleepwalk the song away, because I don't like that song at all. But back to the Closer. Yeah, it's super long, and there's a lot of. I don't even think it's. I'm kind of fine with the whole thing.
What if they called it "My Friend of Misery" too?
That would be hilarious.
I feel like they should have.
I mean, just lean into the ridiculousness. But that song also has the literal only clean section on the album, which is step 2 or phase 2, part 2 of my complaints. There is no pacing on this album. It's 77 minutes of just fucking thrash song. Like there's no mixing it up. There's no flow to it. At least
I do feel like this is like a front loaded album.
I feel the opposite. I think it's backloaded.
Oh,
I kind of can't stand the front half. Yeah.
And me and Mike come together and you get someone who enjoys this song.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it starts off and I'm like, this is okay, this is fine. And then like I just by the time Crown of Barbed Wire comes on,
I like that song. I dig it.
I don't.
It's a hideous main riff, but I think it has like some of the strongest riffs on the album. Like otherwise,
I'd rather listen to King Nothing than
oh yeah. I forgot about King Nothing.
Speaking of mirroring and echoing things.
So back to the original complaint. They had the pattern and people have ripped on them for the pattern of the Ride the Lightning pattern. Fucking high speed opener, lengthy title track, some sort of mid-pace banger, ballad, and then it kind of repeats on side 2. And there's like an instrumental thrown at the end. It always has that formula. They did it on Justice. They did it again on fucking Death Magnetic, pretty much. Yeah, it's a formula and it's predictable.
It works for them.
But at least it kind of worked. Like you kind of crave a fucking ballad after you just got beaten down for 3 lengthy tracks.
Yeah.
So with this, there's no ballad, and fine, you don't have to do a ballad, but at least do something to make it feel different, which they do not do for the entire first 45 minutes of the fucking album, basically. And the only moment where it's like, oh, that's an odd, different one is the first single they put out, Lux Eterna, which I hated when I first heard it as a single. I kind of warmed up to it because that song is classic thrash. I mean, classic thrash, like early mid 80s Exodus classic thrash. I
like it in the context of this album.
Yeah.
It's one of the shortest songs.
It is the shortest song at 3. It's the only song under 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's oddly the most energetic. I think like that song is where they put all their energy into, and then they were like, we're old.
Well, they still go fast.
No, like, they do. When I talk about like energy, it's not like the tempo.
Right.
It's just like, yeah, I don't know why you guys wrote these songs. They don't feel inspired to me.
Even Lux Eterna, I think, has some pretty bland fucking riffs. It just has good moments or like good energy to it. Like, I mean, you just said that, but they haven't sounded like that since Kill 'Em All, and even Kill 'Em All didn't sound like that. But it like that early thrash where it's really driving on. Like I can't explain it without sounding like an idiot who's just saying they're double pedaling a lot. Metal, there's a lot of double pedaling in metal, but the way they do it is such a fucking indicative of early to mid 80s thrash. Like before things got crazy, aggressive, and brutal and super fast. It's almost like heavy metal thrash, like where it's closer to heavy metal than it was to what we know as thrash. But my one of my biggest complaints. So I love guitar harmonies. We both love Thin Lizzy, and Metallica had a certain style of doing it that I think was maybe my favorite ever in the world of doing guitar harmonies. I kind of loved it every single time they've ever done it. And on here, they do it, and I love every time they do it. They only do it on the last 3 songs. It's like crammed into the last 3 songs only.
I feel like that's like, it's like too little too late for me by the time.
It basically is, but I still, if I had to like pick out stuff that I like, they're all in the final chunk.
Yeah, because I think, the guitar solo or the guitar harmonies on Room of Mirrors are,
incredible.
Highlight.
Actually, I would say it's the only good part of that song. I dislike the song a whole lot. That opening riff is so goddamn corny. I mean, full on.
There's a lot of corny.
It's like what that main riff of Room of Mirrors reminds me of is like Danzig's interpretation of evil riffs.
Yes.
Where I love Danzig. We both love Danzig, but whenever he tried to make an evil riff, it always came out like campy and kind of funny. It never actually sounded threatening or brutal.
He is the spirit Halloween star of heavy music, and it's amazing.
Truly put out with some of the greatest albums of all time. But he is what he is. It's what it is. I'm sorry. But there's still like what else do I like here? There's actually a lot that I like here. Main riff to Chasing Light, I think is unlike anything they've done before. It's a surprisingly cool main riff. It's like it's almost like it's not a metal riff, but it's played thrashy.
Yeah,
interesting ass riff.
It's so funny how you latched on to the back half, and like I was just every one of those songs
beaten down, just done,
beaten down. This like doing nothing for me.
Oh, I like. Well, so I like that riff so much that I kind of just accept the rest of the song because it doesn't really live up to that main riff to me. I think it's mostly fine. But there's still a lot of moments here that remind me of old Metallica stuff. One that bothers me, it's not super blatant, but it's pretty noticeable. You Must Burn, which I don't like the song so much. I mean, it has Sad But True written all over it. The intro alone is very like the intro of Sad But True, and it has the same kind of tempo, and it has the same almost kind of breaks.
I also thought about, it's like, it's lacking that like crunch.
There's no crunch on this album, period.
Yeah.
It sounds, well, Sad But True was also, I think it might have been in drop. I think it might have been drop D, or at least down tuned to D.
But like that song is,
it's very heavy. That the whole album had a crunch to it.
Yeah.
But here it's produced by Greg, what's his fucking face? Greg Veidelman, who also produced Hardwired. And it sounds like Metallica, but at least you could hear the bass, but there's no, the actual guitars, they sound like they're in standard, which is, I'm sure they're in standard. That's not a problem. But like when you can notice that it's significantly less heavy and crunchy than a lot of metal bands, fuck it. Why not down tune a little bit, make it a little bit chunkier, or do something. I have no idea how to fucking mix. I mean, I know how to mix, but like, I wouldn't know how to make these sound heavier without changing the foundation of the songs themselves.
But if you're a producer, that should be
maybe. But like, what my ultimate thing is, did they want them to be chunky and heavy because they have the resources to? Maybe they just want it to be more thrashy because the album is clearly leaning on the thrash side. But for a song like You Must Burn, it's like that one should be heavy.
Yeah, I don't know what's like wrong with like changing it up or like tapping into different things. I feel like Saint Anger had this unintended consequence of like, oh, everyone hated that album for good reason, and now like we have to be this thing. We have to be like the reliable legacy act,
kind of like how Slayer did. But even then, like, as much as we like, check out that episode, by the way, as much as we love Slayer, it kind of got old. Like at the end, it's like, all right, these aren't bad albums, but fucking Christ.
Yeah, it did. And like, I think like Death Magnetic has some like really like interesting inspired riffs.
Yeah, it's a good album. It's a legitimately good album.
I didn't like it initially, but and then like Hardwire is like,
yeah. When did you listen to that recently?
Yes,
I haven't heard it since it came out.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I feel like they maybe just try to go back to that same well, but had diminishing returns here. I also like I hate the way the drums sound on here.
Really? I don't mind them.
I don't like it. I don't like Lars's open hi-hat, and he loves his open hi-hat. I
don't find the problem with it. I actually really dig the way the bass drum sounds, especially on songs like Lux Eterna, where I mean it's heavy on the double pedaling. I think it's nice and punchy. It's not overwhelming. You feel it, you know it's there, but it doesn't overpower anything.
Yeah, it felt very weak to me, and I didn't like the way it sounded, or like especially his snare. And again, I hate that they set such a low bar that you're like, oh, you're going to complain about that one. The old pile of crap doesn't make a new pile of crap any better.
I suppose not. But man, I don't know. I like, that's not even like the only moment where it's like, it sounds like, oh, they really done this before. Another one is If Darkness Had a Sun, which I don't mind. I like the song. Actually, I think that's, but side note, James sounds fucking amazing. Like he hasn't aged. His voice hasn't aged in like 30 years. It's crazy how good he sounds. And on If Darkness Had a Sun, he's hitting notes I haven't heard him hit notes that high since the Black Album.
Yeah.
I don't even know how, because I'm pretty sure he ruined his voice and he has to like ease on it.
They don't do back-to-back shows anymore.
That could be one thing. And also when he sings live, he sings way different.
Mm-hmm.
It's way less
It's just
good.
a different animal, yeah.
Because obviously you have to do it for maintenance. To sing clean, you can't fucking push it. You can't make it sound cool because it ruins your voice if you do it repeatedly over the course of decades. But on albums, he always sounds good. And on that song, I think it sounds amazing. But the reason I brought it up, that main riff, especially like the whole intro section, I can't not think of Eye of the Beholder.
Mm-hmm.
It just has so many of the things like they've done nothing like that before. And it's like nothing wrong with having styles or like their style or a thing that they like to do, or you recognize that it's them because they kind of, but it's like, I'm thinking of specific songs that you've already done, and this isn't as good as that one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to be thinking of a specific song when I'm hearing this new song.
What if the next album is the sequels to songs?
I'll fuck it, because then at least I'm expecting it. At least I know what I'm walking into.
It's the sequels to songs and part 4 of Unforgiven.
Oh, man. The fucking franchise continues.
It'd be funny if he said in your Unforgiven 3 in the third one.
I know. Hey, missed opportunity. 2 for Gone, I think has a lot of good moments. Some seriously generic shit on there too, but I think the good outweighs the bad. Ultimately, also it's the first song to have guitar harmonies, so I was like, oh, cool. But like, so my problems with the first half, I always cut a lot of, I've said this in the past, I cut a lot of slack to basically every opener on most albums I hear, because there's plenty of albums I love where the opener is like the weakest song, or it's like it kind of sets you up for the next song or something along those lines. So the title track is the opener, and it's fucking 7.5 minutes. And I'm sorry, but none of those riffs warrant any of that length. Like I was cool with it the first listen, I was cool with it the second listen, third listen, I'm like, this song kind of sucks.
You know, I wasn't a big fan of it, but compared to some of the other things, I think it's one of the stronger songs.
Oh, I don't agree. I think Shadows Follow is a significantly better song. It's the follow-up track. Aside from it having another very Injustice for All era intro.
I was going to say, definitely channeling that.
Yep. But it has a very cool main riff. And I also dig the unexpectedly melodic chorus with those vocal harmonies.
There's also some riffs that I'm like, oh, that sounds like some like southern sludge metal.
I know what riff you're talking about, and you know what my citation is?
What's that?
Cheech and Chong.
Cheech and Chong.
You know the Cheech and Chong song? Dun, 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 dun.
Oh yeah.
the little chorus part of that song?
Yeah.
It's basically that riff in Shadows Follow. It's basically that one.
Yeah. Well, I was not disengaged by the second track.
Yeah. But then the following 3 tracks take me out completely. Screaming Suicide is, boy, I mean, that verse is very fucking cool, but the rest I think is pretty generic thrash and kind of hard to sit through.
I kind of like most of the riffs on there.
Really?
And I like when he says, "You better listen well, you better listen well." I think that part sounds cool.
All right.
Not like an enthusiastic, I'm going to re-listen to this. I'm not going to listen well, but
fair enough. I was like, after my 3rd listen, I was like, there's a lot of these songs that I would take out, and not that like it would make that much of a difference on the whole, but like how long would it be if I just axed all the songs I personally didn't care for? It would remove 32 minutes.
And then I'd hate the entire album.
Probably. You would probably. But that's the thing, like, where there's a full half hour of songs I'm just not into at all.
Yeah.
That's a fucking lot, dude. I mean, and this is a lengthy album. Like a few weeks back, we covered Liturgy's new album, and my only complaint was that it was long. And it's like, I like long albums. We listen to Godspeed and Swans and fucking whatever. It's like removing 30 minutes of songs on here would still make this like an okay album for me. It wouldn't make it like a great album. It would just be like, oh, that's cool.
It's funny because I had that thought too, but I didn't think we'd be so differing
And which
what songs pass the smell test for me versus the one for you. So now, forming like Voltron, I'm like, I can kind of see how you throw 5 people in a studio and, you know, maybe some of the band was really high on some of these songs and you just compromise and put out a 77-minute long album.
But they keep doing it. All of their albums are 70 fucking minutes or 75 minutes or something like that.
So fucking long.
Super long. And it's like, it wouldn't feel so long if it had some sort of flow to it or pacing. Like individually, you could pick out some of these and be like, that's a cool metal song. It's like a fine thrash song. There's nothing wrong with that. You can work out to that. It would pass a car test, like as James put it at some point in the past. Yeah, make it past the car test for sure. 77 minutes worth with no real like variation. That's fucking rough.
I think this is the most confused they've been since Lulu.
Really? I didn't feel confused, or I didn't get confused from that. I didn't read confused from that. It's hard to say that sentence.
Maybe it's just hearing your opinion about it. And I could see it. I don't know. It makes sense in my head. I don't know if the band was confused, but going back and forth with you, I'm like, I think that this kind of like maybe some I'm this guessing. Maybe some compromises were made so you get this mid album.
Maybe. I think you probably nailed it earlier on when you about like Death Magnetic was very intentional. Like, we're gonna go back to the roots. We're gonna make a fucking thrash album, and then since then it's like, well, we just keep doing this. That worked.
I no one will complain. And looking at the reviews, it seemed like
people like it. It's mostly got like, you know, decent.
Yeah.
Decent, like 8 out of 10s, fucking 4 out of 5s.
No, there's
some couple 6s.
People are scared to trash their Metallica daddies.
I will love them until the day I die, but this, I mean, they've been better than this. What are we gonna do? I wanted to like it. For some of it, I still do like.
I was gonna say, even like modern era Metallica has been better than this.
Yeah, that's my problem with it. Yeah. It's that we don't need another Death Magnetic. We us here at every album ever, we like progress. We like when they try something different, even if it doesn't land. Like for us, like reference to Death Heaven's new album. I don't like it. I like that they did it. Yeah. That kind of thing. And I just want to hear something, you know, take a fucking chance. Try something. I mean, even saying Anger, like doing fucking basically crust punk. It stunk, but Jesus Christ, you tried something.
Dig up Lou Reed's corpse and do Lulu 2.
That might not work. I take it back.
Yeah, it's not like I expect progress from Metallica.
They are old at this point.
It is what it is. And I've always had like these mixed feelings about these legacy bands putting out newer albums. Like, do you have like, because it feels more like an excuse to tour. And I'm like, do you have to put out a new album? Can't you just announce like a giant tour and do like, does anyone actually give a shit? Fans? No,
absolutely not. Yeah. Fucking love them, and the stuff from them that we love. It's so good that it will last for generations. It's like the best metal ever made.
Because I saw them when they were touring on Saint Anger, and it was like they played maybe like 2 songs off the album. So again, it's just an excuse to tour, and I think, I don't know. I don't think legacy bands have to do this.
I also wonder what that must be like in the studio when they're writing this stuff or wherever the hell they write it. Like, because they're all super older. They're older. They're super duper successful. There's not a lot of pressure. They're comfy. They will be fine forever. Yeah. They can do So what is their actual mentality going in and writing? What are you trying to do? What were you hoping would happen? Are you just fucking whatever comes out comes out? If it's not as cool, we'll keep it. Is it that lax? I don't know, because they have to want to. They have to be like enjoy doing it. Why else? I mean, because
they could just break up and not do anything.
Yeah, but I mean, like we're they could tour without having put anything out, they must enjoy this process still to this day.
Yeah, to a point, I would agree with that. Like, I was shocked to find out they did an S&M part 2.
Yeah.
So like, obviously they still have some sort of passion to keep doing this and playing and doing things. I just don't care for it.
Yeah. And as a guy who really does love thrash, I've heard it before. I've heard it from bands that didn't make it, bands that were fine, but they didn't break and no one cared.
I think that's another problem where like every metal band wants to be Metallica. So like we've heard this before, like you said.
A lot. It's also interesting too, the parts of their charm that they lost over the years or that they shed. I don't know the past tense of that word. I think it started on Death Magnetic, where Lars went back to the very definitive of thrash 1-2 beat, simple 1-2 1-2 1-2 1-2. Every thrash band in the world does that beat. It's very indicative of the genre. And if you go back to early Metallica, they didn't really do it. Like it's weird. Like it's close to it. It's almost a 1-2 beat, but Lars did it weird. He always did it weird and different.
He has some of the like most creative beats in heavy music.
Even when it was like even when it should have been a simple, straightforward thrash beat, 1-2, just a fast section, just go with it. He still did it weird and different where it sounded almost backwards. And it was hard to pin down. It's like and the way the riffs chained together always felt like it was off rhythm, but it was always so tight that it's like, oh, that's just really complicated how they combine these. All of that is gone. Starting from Death Magnetic, he's doing straightforward 1-2 beats, just like every other thrash band. It's all over this album. And it just felt like you lost a part of what Metallica was when they were thrash.
Because my brain works this way. I couldn't like pinpoint what made his drumming unique until I saw like sheet music.
Really?
And I saw where he's placing these things. And I was like, oh, like I would have never like the choices he makes on the earlier stuff. I was like, why would you put a crash on the 2? Why wouldn't you just put it on the 1?
Oh, always a crash where you never expect it.
Yeah. That's what he does.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's like sitting there. I think there's like something internally that he felt and
for sure
came out that way.
It so much less of that. And it's like unfair to compare this to early Metallica, but it's like, if you're going to go back to your roots, quote unquote, that's part of what made them so distinct. Like these unusual choices are my old favorite record reviewer, Mark Prindle, whose site is defunct, but it's still there. Go fucking check it out. He described the Big Four in like, I think the best way possible. And I've always kept it. Part of it's a joke. And so it was Slayer was the aggressive band. Megadeth was the super technical band. Metallica was the melodic band, and Anthrax was the least deserving of being amongst the Big Four. That was the thing. But
oh man, but schmackety do.
Metallica, always the most melodic, always like you could rely on them to be like, damn, that was fucking beautiful and it kicked ass.
Yeah.
It's only energy and like hard rockiness here. There's very little melody except for like the few bits of the guitar harmony stuff and some of the solo sections. Other than that, it's like, yeah, pentatonic, hard rocking, fast.
I want to know what like newer, heavier bands Metallica's listening to lately.
I don't think they listen to music. If I had to guess,
they don't listen to
I think about that a lot.
They've deserved it. They don't have to.
Yeah. they won music, dude. They don't need to listen anymore.
They beat the system.
They sure did. A lot of great artists don't. I'm going to asterisk that once great artists don't listen to new music. Some of them are still great. I think like Michael Giroux from Swans doesn't really listen to music. Like new, especially not new music, but very little music in general. There's like a lot of musicians who don't listen to music. I remember doing this open mic some years ago, and I met this older seasoned guitar player, super cool dude. One of those, like, he just felt like a blue collar kind of guy, just really, really warm, amazing guitar player, touring guy, like, you know, no name, but he was clearly been around for generations basically. And he said, he hates when people like ask him what his influences are. He's like, I don't know, man. I just listen to sports all day. I don't fucking listen to music. I was like, yeah, dude, I listen to comedy. I don't fucking listen to music. Yeah. So like sometimes they just don't. And sometimes as a result, you get stuff that sounds a little bit, you know, derivative and not too fresh or whatever.
I can tell they're like, it's so funny because, you know, they went on tour with all these awful new metal bands.
When?
Like, what new metal was big?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the tour I saw them on, the fucking openers were Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, Mudvayne, and Deftones.
And was that before Deftones got good? Like, I mean, they were never bad, but
yeah, they were, you know,
was it pre White Pony?
It was after White Pony.
Okay, so transition already kind of started.
Yeah. And then they like were taking cool bands out like The Sword and Lamb of God,
that's right, yeah,
among others, Mastodon. And now like I look at the people opening up for them on this tour and I'm like, you guys fucking like I don't know if they pick their openers. I doubt it, but like Ice Nine Kills, just get the fuck out of here, man.
Oh boy. Get
the fuck. I mean,
what is that? Vonnegut reference? Yeah.
I don't know.
I believe it is from Cat's Cradle.
And then so I'm just like, you can kind of tell like their openers kind of reflect for me, I think the quality of their music.
It could be it could be a cosmic coincidence. Could be that's all they're being exposed to, and it's not driving up them creative juices. Who knows?
I even get them like going on tour with like an Avenged Sevenfold. I don't like that band, but they're very popular and successful. I can't argue with that. But then
I can argue, but I'll lose the argument.
Yeah. So I don't. That's just me riffing.
This is another, I would say, baffling fact about this is that this was recorded over the course from starting
so long
March 2021 to November 2022. These songs took that long to write and record.
I think, like you said, when you're comfortable and they have their own studio and stuff, like why would you record and
that? So why would you? For sure, if you have the time, you have the resources, fucking take your time. My confusion is that you have that long to hear how it sounds after sitting on it for a long time. That's the ultimate test. You sit on a song, you come back to it months later, maybe a year later, and like, oh yeah, that turns out that wasn't that good. That means they fucking like this album. That's good. What?
I don't know. I think this, you know, it happens to everyone. You get old, you get out of touch. It's probably happening to me already.
I would say it's absolutely happening to both of us.
So, hey, you know, I'm someone's Metallica bro. I don't know who.
Be so lucky, man. I hope I'm someone's Metallica.
I guess in this, not in terms of success, but like, this out of touch.
He ain't what he used to be.
Yeah,
something. Yeah, I mean, we just spent so long shitting all over this, but I don't hate this album. I mean, you might.
I might. Hate is a 4-letter word that isn't spoken here. No, that was love. I forget what song that was.
Which one?
Love is a 4-letter word that isn't spoken here.
I forgot.
Anyways, yeah, I might hate this album. I might hate it. I'm at best, it's at the lower end of okay.
Dude, I just saw this fucking the next tour. I mean, you said Ice Nine Kills. That's one.
Oh, dude,
that's the least of. That's the least.
I wasn't gonna get into everything else.
So you got Pantera. So fine. However you feel about the reunion, whatever. The point is,
it's on brand.
But the point is, it's a band that is touring, playing a bunch of old songs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like already like, all right, well, we're not. That's not. You know, Five Finger Death Punch. Problem. Ice Nine Kills, problem. Greta Van Fleet, fucking problem. Also, another band that's just retreading a bunch of shit that's been done before. And then Architects, Volbeat, Mammoth, WVH. I don't even fucking know them.
That's Eddie Van Halen's kid.
Oh,
That's just nepotism right there.
yeah. I probably wouldn't like them, but I don't really fucking care. It's good for him.
Wolfgang seems like a nice guy, though.
Yeah.
I just like, I don't care.
Yeah,
I haven't listened to Architects, Volbeat, whatever.
Yeah, Architects or Volbeat. But Greta Van Fleet, like, god damn, that's like one of those just dividers, dividers.
I feel like it's just been beaten to death. Where I'm like, I've got nothing to contribute to this.
Yeah, the argument we have. The argument we would have is the same as everyone who hates them. It's like, oh, it's been done before. It's like it has been done before, but are the songs good? I would say no. That's just basically. I mean, I'm very easy that way. It's like I'll forgive a lot of bullshit if I just like, oh, it's a cool riff. That's I haven't heard that before. Maybe it's the presentation is like a band we've already heard. The same way I feel about this album.
Yeah,
like the riffs just aren't there for me. Aside from like a handful of songs and the closer, which I like.
I don't want to hear a Led Zeppelin cover band because Led Zeppelin's already a cover band.
Hoo, hi-yo.
Hey.
Check out that episode. Old one, but check out that one.
They should have been a Black Sabbath cover band. Then that gets my juices flowing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's your dude. That is all you, dude. At least you're aware of that hypocrisy.
Oh, 100%.
Like, yeah,
I have to be.
Yeah,
like, yeah.
It's so blatantly Sabbath. Every one of those bands is so Sabbath.
It's in my soul though.
Yeah. Oh man, but I mean, I guess you fucking joined this well of shitting on this album, but also, I mean, it could have been a lot worse. I think it could have been a lot worse.
Sure, it can always be worse, but
can it?
It can, because we have.
Could Saint Anger be worse than it was?
No, I mean that's the bar. That's the bar. It's a very low fucking bar. It's very easy to step over that bar.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Sure, it could always be worse, but that doesn't excuse mediocrity.
Damn, that's a mic drop.
I guess that's my summary of this album.
Yeah, I get it. I can't fight you too much because I don't love it enough. And I really fucking let these songs sink in. I mean, it's long enough for them to sink in too.
Oh yeah, I know we're both so I was like, he's not gonna phone this in.
No, I
don't know what I was expecting, honestly, but
yeah, because with really what I expected was more of Hardwired, and I didn't care for it. I was like, I felt basically the same about that one as I do about this one, and it's kind of what it is to me. I mean, I haven't heard it in so long, I can't say for sure.
That one sounds so much better. Like the punchiness and the crunchiness that I want from these songs is in Hardwire.
Interesting. It's also hardwired. It's past tense.
I'm not gonna.
I know someone's gonna call you out on it.
I'm not gonna pronounce that correctly. Kurt and Kurt are the same thing to me. I don't.
You just said the same name twice.
See, Kurt.
It's Kirk.
Kirk. Yeah. It's the same thing to me.
Nothing's funnier than like trying to make an example, but saying the same thing twice.
Yeah. I don't know what's wrong with my head. It's just whatever. I've given up trying to be proper about it.
Here's a question. How long did you say Ulrich instead of Ulrich?
Forever. Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember when I learned it, but it was a while before I was like, oh, it's Ulrich.
Apparently I never learned it, or I heard it and just didn't care.
Really? You say Ulrich?
I thought I did.
I don't think I've ever heard you say Ulrich. Breaking news, Alex is he finally realized it's Ulrich.
He's so infamous and famous. You can just say Lars. You're not talking about anybody else.
To be fair, I don't think we've ever said his last name in the entire time we've known each other.
Yeah, there's no reason to.
That's true. What other Lars is there aside from the one from Tekken?
Deathlock.
Was there one? Was there a Lars in Death?
I don't know.
Or in fucking Metalocalypse, the show?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, when you're talking about heavy music and you say Lars, it's like Highlander. There's only one.
Yeah. I want to meet someone who names their child Lars.
I mean, someone probably does. But
what other names are fucking obsolete? Like you can't. It's just tapped. Like Vivica. It's just Vivica A. Fox and no one else. It's just Vivica.
What about a Gertrude? You ever meet a Gertrude?
No, they all died, I bet.
They all died.
For sure. Huh.
Wasn't ready to talk about dead names.
No, for sure. Alabaster. Okay, anyway, we're done.
Man, if someone named you Alabaster, go down to the DMV.
I'm gonna name my daughter Alabaster.
She is a handsome woman.
Oh, yeah.
I always think that's funny in Westerns.
Oh, calling a woman handsome is the funniest fucking thing ever.
It's so
you
funny.
you already know what she looks like. Old and short hair with a pantsuit. Hillary Clinton, basically. Handsome woman.
Rough.
Pretty rough.
Paula Poundstone.
Yikes.
Handsome one. Katie Lang. Katie Lang is actually handsome though.
I'm gonna fucking look at a picture right now.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. Oh, KD. K, like the letter K.
Oh, KD.
Yeah. My mom used to listen to her, so that's how I.
Oh, that is a oh boy.
She's pulling all the ladies.
That is woof. She looks a little bit like a chubby Martin Short.
Hey, better voice than Martin Short.
Arguably. Have you seen Three Amigos? All right, we're done.
All right, yeah.
Thanks for listening and watching. If you want to hear the actual album and give it a shot for your own damn self, there's a link to that in the description. You can also tell us why we're stupid in the comments if you want to do that. Or you can hang out with us and be a part of our little community and subscribe. Like the comment, blah, 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 blah. Not like the comment, like and comment, whatever the fuck. You get it.
Now I got you tongue-tied.
Yes, you did. You got it. Follow me on all social media at PanderMonkey and Alex on Instagram at
Every Album Alex.
Hell yes. And please follow our history guy, Tom Osman at Tom Osman Sounds all over the place, and links to all his music in the description. He helps us with our bigger, longer episodes with all the discographies. And these are easy one and done fucking shotgun episodes. There's no need to dive in. But what the fuck else? Also check out my debut EP, Pander Monkeys. Link to that in the description if you want. Cool. Patreon, baby. Patreon.com/everyalbumever. That's our bread and butter. You get the bonus episodes. You can see our schedule in advance. You can vote on polls to decide who we cover next. You can join our Discord, be a part of our little tight-knit actual community, and suggest our EAE singles episodes like this one. We picked them all out from Discord. And if you're tier 2, you can suggest a full ass discography to cover on our numbered episodes. So go there, do that, please, and thank you. All right. Wrapping it up. Final song.
Whatever you want.
You know what it's going to be. It's going to be an 11-minute son of a bitch. It's the only song I think is great off the album. We're doing it, motherfucker. This is, I can't pronounce the name, Inamorata. So thanks for listening and watching. See ya.